Slurpty-derp, my G's. Hope you guys are doing well. Today I've got a kind of rhythmical staccato pad build-up riser idea made in Serum. I quite like this sound. It was inspired by one of my students, Mystery, David, thank you. But actually, the patch I made turned out to be very, very different to what I set out to make, as is often the case with sound design. So I was starting out trying to make a particular pad with a particular movement on. And I ended up going a little bit down a rabbit hole and creating something a little bit different. But I think it's a nice sound, and I've made it actually using the Arp section, and the rhythm changes, or the rhythm, the Arp basically opens up. I've used the Arp, and as you can see here, I've modulated the the gate to open the gate and close the gate. So it's a I'm essentially the gatekeeper. Right, so here's how it sounds anyway before I talk forever. I've got a little chord progression, just sort of F up to G, and then G sharp, and then A sharp. I mean, it's not a chord progression, it's just a note progression. But here's how it sounds. So you can hear the gate kind of opens up and it gets all a bit looser. And the high end also increases a little bit because I also opened up the low pass filter here very, very slightly. But those are the only two movements on an LFO. Basically, I've got this one LFO, a very slow triangle, slightly curved, a little bit inwards and a bit outwards, just so it kind of creeps up a little bit faster towards the top on the way round, and then it kind of slows down and then comes back down again. But like I mentioned, that's tracking the gate of the Arp, which I'll go into in a sec, and also the low pass filter, the cutoff, which opens up so it gets brighter as it gets to the top. All right, so the Arp, which I'm still getting the hang of, but I found out if I turn if I just leave the shift on 0, it'll basically just play the same note. And then, yeah, just put the range on 1. Although the range, I think, is sort of redundant when the shift is on 0 anyway. But anyway, having that shift on 0, and then I can change the actual rate of the notes here. So obviously that sounds pretty cool too. But I put it on 1/8. And I set the gate to start down here at 20, because if it's up at 100, it's basically sustained. It's not really an Arp anymore. But down at 20, it's quite staccato. And then, as you saw, I modulated to come up on with the LFO. So then it basically, as it comes up, it obviously it becomes less staccato and the notes begin to blend in with one another, you know? So it's a nice kind of rhythmical change. Also, to control those actual individual staccato hits, I've used the envelope 1 because it's sort of tracked already to the Arp, right? So if I was to turn the attack up, I could have really, really soft notes. Or really low, a bit clicky, you know? I went quite in the middle with the attack around 34, and then also the sustain is a bit lower, so it's slightly louder at the start of the sound, and then there is the release on as well. Because, yeah, I wanted it to have enough release that it's quite a nice little tail on there, you know? So that's 146. That's basically the movement, how I made the movement for it, you know? And then the rest of it is all in the sound design. And basically we've got a sub, which is actually, it's not doing a sub, it's doing a saw. -2 octaves. And then this guy is the They're all saw waves, but they've just got a bit of bend on each of them. So the first one octave higher. They've all got detuning on as well with unison at 3. Next one, another octave higher and 7 semitones up, so making a bit of a power chord here. Then another one octave higher back at the root note. So it's mostly all around a root note, this pad. It's not such a complex chord, it's just got one oscillator with 7 semitones up, like a bit of a power chord, you know. A little bit of noise in as well. And then what I've done to the filter here, as you can see, it's got movement on. That's actually from the envelope. So because the envelope is basically controlling the ARP, I'm using the same envelope one to control the filter. So I've got this opening of the filter. So you've got this combination. But this combination of the ARP affecting the volume and the filter also following along with that rhythm. So it pops open a little bit. It just goes from like around 150 up to 1000 on the cutoff. I send the output of the filter into filter 2, and here's like a little notch filter. It's quite subtle, but adds a bit of movement in the mid-range. Then we'll jump over to the effects, and here we've basically got a nice bit of delay, 35%. Done it off the grid, quite fast settings, left and right, slightly different for a nice stereo effect on ping pong mode. And then, you've got quite a lot of tails from the delay that sort of stay in and fill out the background a bit between the ARP kind of hits, between the ARP notes. I've used the bode as well, which gives a big difference to the whole stereo spread, okay, because I've turned the blur up and just blended that in. It's sort of similar to a chorus, but has a different effect. Then I have used the chorus as well. Also around 30%. Well, then we got some nice reverbs, a convolution reverb, and also a big reverb later. A couple of other things I've done, a bit of flanging. This is just to add a bit of a variation to the sound. A touch of EQing, boosting the high end. A bit of detuning with the hyper and a bit of dimension expanding, just a little bit. All these are just all minor sound design, sort of sound quality adjustments, And the nice big hall reverb, a touch more EQing. And another little bit of filter movement to modify the mid-range a bit here. That's just mixed in halfway. But all of the effects, they kind of just add a little bit of extra sound quality or sound interest in their own way, But really, I just wanted to show you guys how you could make this sort of rhythmical, stuttered kind of pad that sort of loosens and then closes up again using the gate modulation via the ARP, and using the ARP as a as a way to just put a rhythm in the sound without having to do a whole melody, but just like nice and simple, one note, nice movement on that, and then open it up and close it again. Anyway, I think it's a nice sound. I've called it Clear the Runway Pad because it's preparing me for takeoff. I'm dropping this one on my Patreon as well. If you want to support me on there, you're always more than welcome. You can grab this preset while you're there. That's on any of the paid tiers on there. All right. I think that covers everything for today. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you have a productive one. And make sure you check out my new Serum preset pack as well, because it's still on sale for the rest of this week, called Rituals. and it's got some sick sounds in there, 50 sounds in total. This one's not in it because this one's even newer, but the ones in there are epic, so make sure you grab those. All right, that's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.